Hey guys, I hope you're all having a great day today. I obviously want to talk about the surprise update that launched 3 days ago for Halo Infinite, and 343 gave us a little bit of a Christmas present ahead of schedule. We really didn't expect a lot of this stuff to come way later on. I mean, probably March of next year. So the fact that this all came out and came out as a surprise was really, really good news to us, especially because 343 in the past has had a history of amping people up for really disappointing news. Well, in this case, they did the opposite. They kind of kept it quiet till it actually launched, and people have been telling 343 to do this forever with the recommendation of show don't tell, because when you tell us something, especially because there's not a lot of Halo news, when you tell us about an update coming and hype it up, and then we get all hyped up for it, and then it launches and it's not as good as we hoped or as much content as we hoped, we get disappointed, obviously. And the fact that they are finally learning from their mistakes and really just launching surprise updates, showing us what they can actually do instead of just getting us hyped for the smallest amount of updates is really good news. Okay, so let's actually talk about what the surprise update came out. First is the custom games browser. This was something that we weren't expecting until maybe March of next year, and the fact that they actually were able to get it out, and they did mention when they put it out that there's going to be bugs, but they saw that it was more important for the custom game browser to come out now with the bugs than to prolong it, and I couldn't agree more. We really needed this. We were hoping for this with the launch of Forge, and obviously it didn't come out with the launch of Forge. And the reason why this is so important is because there's actually a lot of reasons, but one of which is that there's a massive amount of Halo players who are really just into the custom game side of things. They love to play. I mean, after all, game modes like Zombie started off in custom games, so they love to play game modes like that. And then two, Forge obviously just launched with the winter update last month, and it kind of goes hand in hand, right? You make these maps, but without a custom games browser, it makes it a lot harder to discover games that are using these new maps. So Forge and custom game browsers kind of go hand in hand, and it really honestly helps out Forge to kind of reach its full potential, I think is the best way I can put it, as well as just being good for the player base and making it more available to players that maybe didn't have as many friends to play on a Forge map that they downloaded, or now they can either host a match or find a match that already is in progress for that map or game mode. I mean, there's so many endless possibilities when it comes to custom games, which is why so many people love it. There is a million different types of custom games that are really like famous and popular from older Halo days. I mean, Zombies is just one of them. If you're an older Halo player, fan, whatever, you probably know there's a ton of super cool custom games that are just engraved in your mind, in your memory, because we played the hell out of them when we were kids. But yeah, if you can't tell, I do think that the custom game browser coming to Halo is super important to Forge, as well as the game as a whole. I mean, this probably goes without saying, as many of you might agree, and I'm certainly not a 343 hater. If you actually look at my track record of videos, you'll notice that I've been trying to put a lot more positive look on 343 and Halo Infinite. But with that being said, this is obviously all stuff that was supposed to be out when the game launched. It should have been out when the game launched, and the fact that we got like an uncompleted game really hurt the player base, and I don't ever see that being a good idea, right? I think one of the biggest complaints and one of the biggest reasons why people move on to different games nowadays is because companies launch incompleted games, and it hurts the franchise, it hurts the game, it hurts the fans. Yeah, I hope something like this never happens again, which I know it will. And by this, I mean game studios launching incomplete games with a huge lacking of content. So with that being said, let's move on to the next big thing, which is keyboard and mouse updates, as well as quality of life updates that we'll kind of dig into a little bit here. I don't want to make this video too long, so let me just flat out say this. The keyboard and mouse updates are so important. One of the many issues that Halo Infinite has had in terms of keeping player base is that keyboard and mouse players just don't enjoy Halo Infinite as much, right? Some of them might have liked it at first, but it's just been impossible for them to compete against a controller. And we do see in the Steam charts, which I'll put up here now, that there's been a resurgence of players on Steam, which to me tells me that there's probably a resurgence of keyboard and mouse players because, well, they made an update where basically gives aim assist to keyboard and mouse. Now, that was not intentional. They were just trying to improve the competitiveness of keyboard and mouse. However, they recently have said that they are going to keep it around for a while to see how it goes, how well it works in Halo Infinite, which I think is huge. Now, I primarily play on controller on Halo Infinite, right? Like if I'm playing Call of Duty, I'm on keyboard and mouse. But on Halo, I'm typically on controller. And there's probably a lot of good reasons for that, right? Controller has been dominant in Halo for a while. So I haven't had a lot of time to try Halo Infinite out with the new update on keyboard and mouse. But I do want to go in and try it out because my main concern would be, does this break the sandbox? Does it make keyboard and mouse so far superior in controller? Maybe, but I don't really think so. And on top of that, I actually am happy that there's a buff for keyboard and mouse. I want keyboard and mouse players to be more competitive and have more fun in this game, and more keyboard and mouse players to come back to this game. So I think this is huge, and the fact that they're planning to maybe keep the aim assist on keyboard and mouse around for a little while, I think is really good news, actually. I hope, as long as it's not like that overpowered, I hope that they actually keep it around for good, because I want keyboard and mouse players talking about Halo Infinite, playing Halo Infinite, joining the community, coming back to the player base, all that good stuff. I want to have more Halo fans out there playing with us. So I think that's really important. I have friends who play keyboard and mouse, and they're always complaining about how hard it is, and I get it. It is definitely not ideal. But if they're able to actually do this, where they make a balance with controller and keyboard and mouse, I think that is so important for the franchise, for the player base, for the player count. I mean, yeah, I really do think that for the future of Halo to really be more open towards all players out there, they need to fix and find a balance for keyboard and mouse. And one thing I'll say is that a lot of games actually out there don't. Typically, the controller's not the best supported device on a lot of games like Valorant, right? And by supported, what I actually mean to say is not the most competitive device. So the fact that 343 is actually trying to make a attempt at balancing that is actually something, now that I think about it, not a lot of companies do. So I think that's really interesting, because not a lot of companies can manage to do that. If 343 can, that would be pretty huge. I mean, a game like Valorant, obviously the superior device is going to be keyboard and mouse just because the way the game plays, where a game like Halo Infinite, controller had a lot of advantages. So I won't get too deep into this because I don't want to spark a debate in my mind about what's better, keyboard and mouse or controller. I play both. But yeah, I think this is really interesting, and I really hope it goes well. Last thing I kind of want to talk about is just some other quality of life updates that they talked about. Network and desync is getting updated, or it has been updated rather, to help out with some fixes. Certainly from what I see, it's not perfect, but it is better, and I think that is huge. This has been the biggest complaint from pro players since day one. So yeah, network and desync is honestly truly important. Every little thing in this update is actually really important. Player reporting has finally become a thing. Once again, super important. There's not a ton of cheaters that I run into in the game, and I think a bigger reason for that is just because there's not that many people playing it compared to games like Warzone. But yeah, player reporting is really important for a competitive game. So I don't know why it took this long to get it, but I'm glad it's here. Two more things I want to quickly talk about because this video is getting a little bit too long, but they have fixed cross-core as well as the armor coating situation, right? All cadet armor coatings are now unlocked, and all armor cores are now unlocked for everybody. That's really good news because, one, I mean, a lot of players are really into customization, and Halo Infinite did not launch with the best in any way, the best way to customize your Spartan. Now, don't get me wrong, I think some people will care about this more than others. Some players don't care that much about customization, where other players have customization super high on their list of things that they like to do in a video game. So I get it. It is actually an important update. And then lastly, and I'll kind of really quickly go over this, they have done some sandbox updates. Particularly, they talked about an update to the energy sword in regards to two players having no shields and both charging at each other. Now they're supposed to trade, whereas I guess in the past there really wasn't a trade. Reason I don't really know a lot about this is because I primarily play ranked most of the time, and on most ranked maps there's only one sword, so I can't really talk too much about this in terms of my own experience. But yeah, they're still doing weapon tuning updates, which is honestly really important because, man, Halo really needed it, and they still need it, right? Like, they messed up some things. In my personal opinion, the plasma pistol is now way too good. Like, they buffed it to being overpowered, where in the past it was kind of lacking in terms of it being any bit useful, except maybe if you're trying to go for OS, because you gotta burn that OS. But yeah, no, I don't know. The plasma pistol is not my favorite gun to go against now. I really don't like it, especially as, again, somebody who plays ranked a lot. I get a little sweaty, so I don't like losing to somebody using a noob combo, but that might just be me. But yeah, they have a lot of weapon tuning updates that they need to continue to do, as any competitive game does, but I'm happy to see that they haven't stopped. I'm happy to see that they're still thinking about it and rolling out updates that are fixing some issues. And yes, I know there are going to be many people who are going to talk about this game being dead, stop being positive about it, your 343 shield, whatever, right? You know the list of comments. And not necessarily that I get them so much, but I see them online with anybody who's positive about Halo all the time. So I'll just say the obvious here. Nobody's saying that this game is perfect, nor are we saying that this game is at the state it needs to be back in the glory days of Halo, if that's even possible. All we're saying is that there's a lot of good stuff coming out for Halo that is really improving the player base, improving the game, and making us more positive about the future for Halo. Now, with that being said, great updates like the one we just got, as well as the winter update, are not giant leaps into making this game one of the top in the Steam charts or anything like that. Rather, what we're really looking forward to is little by little improving this game, bringing more players back, adding more content. And that's really the big key phrase I would put out there is little by little, this game will really get great. Yeah, it sucks. I know I already said this. It sucks that the game didn't release at this state, but I'm happy for it right now, and I'm going to continue to be happy. And I know a lot of people out there, I see videos all the time on YouTube, as well as comments. A lot of people prefer to be negative about this game. I see it from often the same channels that are usually negative about this game, just constantly putting out updates going, this game sucks, it's a dead game, new update came out, what's the point? You know, things like that. And it's kind of like, why, in my opinion, is it that you're updating us because you care about this franchise and you just are being critical? Because it's definitely okay to be critical. I think criticism is important, and I think it's okay to be negative about this game too, right? It's important to express your own beliefs, but I think a lot of people just want to pile up on the negativity, shit on the game, shit on 343, not because they actually believe in it as much, just because they like to shit on Halo as well as they like to shit on 343. And negativity honestly sells pretty well online. A lot of people will click on your video just to watch negative stuff, which in return is beneficial to you. So I get it. I'm not trying to say if you're a negative person about Halo, you're wrong. I'm just trying to say I do see that there's a lot of negativity out there that I don't necessarily think is always justified. I think some people might have alternative motives or just like to hate on the franchise or whatever. But I will continue to be more positive about this game. Partly because I do care about Halo and the franchise, and that's not to suggest that if you're not positive you don't care about Halo or the franchise. It's just my outlook on it, right? Like one of the things that makes me more positive about this game is that I really love Halo. It's been my favorite franchise since I was a kid, and I care about the future of this game. Alternatively, there are plenty of people who say the same, but say it in a negative aspect, right? Like they care about Halo, which is why they're so negative about it, because they want to see it be better, and I get that. But for me personally, I kind of choose the path of being more positive. So if you see me be more positive about this game, I'm going to be critical when it's a good time to be critical. I'm not going to sugarcoat my thoughts or, shill for this game. But I'm certainly not going to be negative just because it's more popular or whatever reason. I'm much more of a positive person when it comes to this game. So I'm going to continue to be positive. If you have an issue with that, I get it, right? It's okay to be upset about 343 for releasing a unfinished product. I get it. But I just wanted to throw out my beliefs so that way you guys kind of know where I fall into and understand where my perspective is on this game. But yeah, with that being said, I made this video way too long. I apologize for that. Thank you guys for sticking around. I really appreciate it. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. I'll see y'all later.